When the morning sun streams through my window, I wake up out of habit. Perhaps my body clock is still governed by my 35-year routine as a bank branch manager. I reach for the remote control of my electric wheelchair by my bedside and switch it on. The soft whirring sound breaks the quiet morning air. Good morning, I smile at George's photograph as my day begins. The memories of my husband, who suddenly passed away from a heart attack 3 years ago, are still vivid in my heart. Now at 68, although I sometimes struggle with knee pain, I otherwise lead a peaceful life. I started using this electric wheelchair a year ago after my knee surgery. It's the latest model from Blue Sky, and the $8,000 price tag with insurance coverage seems reasonable based on my banking experience. The controls are intuitive and it's very safe. I make sure to charge it every night, perhaps another habit from my meticulous banking days. Living on the second floor of a 4-story apartment building, I'm supported by my son Nathan and his family. It's just a 15-minute drive to his house, a distance that provides both independence and security. Nathan, 42, works as a project manager at a major construction company, inheriting his father's diligence and passion for work. Despite being extremely busy with his recent promotion, he never fails to check on me during weekends. His voice asking, "Mom, do you need anything?" is my greatest comfort. His wife Jessica quit her job as a real estate agent 5 years ago and is now a full-time homemaker. With her bright and sociable personality, she visits me twice a week. "Mom, what shall we do today?" she always asks with a smile. Her dedicated care feels like that of a real daughter. My greatest joy is my 10-year-old grandson Tyler, who has a talent for science projects. He's fascinated by my electric wheelchair and often explains, "Grandma, this part works like this." His keen observation skills never cease to amaze me. Every Saturday is our special time together, watching TV, listening to his project stories, or reading science books he brings along. My weekly schedule revolves around senior daycare activities. At the center I visit 3 times a week. I enjoy exercising and doing crafts with peers my age. The staff's words, "Mrs. Thompson, your smile is lovely today," always warm my heart. I spend my free time reading, everything from mystery novels to historical fiction, which might surprise my former subordinates. Thanks to my electric wheelchair, I can smoothly move to my study within the apartment, which brings me great joy. In the evenings, Jessica often brings dinner. "Mom, I made this with a special recipe today," she says while setting out warm dishes. Her thoughtful care always fills me with gratitude. Weekends are particularly lively. Nathan shares his work stories, Tyler shows off his latest projects, and sometimes Jessica brings friends for afternoon tea parties. During these times, sitting in my wheelchair, I renew my gratitude for the family that preserves these peaceful days. My bedtime routine includes plugging in the wheelchair charger and saying "good night" to George's photo. Then I close my eyes, hoping for another peaceful day tomorrow. Though different from my banking days, my daily life continues with a definite sense of fulfillment. Another ordinary morning began. I woke up guided by the soft sunlight streaming through the window, and as usual, turned on my electric wheelchair. There was nothing special about this morning, just the bird songs announcing the start of a peaceful day. Though it had unusually rained last night, the air was clear this morning, making the view outside my window more vivid than usual. On my way to the kitchen, I say, "Good morning," to George's photograph. In the photo, he seems to return my greeting with his usual gentle smile. After 40 years of marriage, his smile never changed. Even now, I sometimes find it hard to get used to the morning silence without him. But my family surrounds me, filling that loneliness. While preparing breakfast, I warmed up the bagel Jessica had made last night and spread cream cheese on it. She remembers my preferences and always chooses bagels with cranberries and cream cheese. The warm coffee aroma filled the room, creating a pleasant morning atmosphere. Modern coffee makers are convenient. Set the timer, and you can enjoy a fresh cup right when you wake up. Just as I was finishing my meal, the phone rang. Seeing the name on the screen, I couldn't help but smile. It was earlier than usual, but it was Tyler calling. "Grandma, can I pick you up today?" Tyler's excited voice resonated through the receiver. While we often spend weekends together, it's unusual for my grandson to pick me up on a weekday. His voice had an extra bounce to it today. "Of course, Tyler. But what about your mother?" "School. We had a science project presentation this afternoon. The teacher said we could leave early. Mom gave permission. It's special today. When I said I wanted to show you what I made for my science project, she said I could pick you up from daycare." His voice carried that special pride unique to young boys hiding a secret. The presentation must have gone wonderfully. I couldn't help but smile. Tyler's interest in science was our family's pride. I'm looking forward to it. But be careful coming here, okay? Of course. Mom's driving me to the bus stop. Don't worry. After hanging up, I started getting ready a bit earlier than usual. I fixed my hair and chose my favorite blue blouse. I slipped the mystery novel I'd been reading into my daycare bag. The unexpected plot twist I'd read last night made me eager for break time. While waiting for the shuttle bus, I spent time by the window imagining what creation Tyler would show me. His projects are always full of surprises. Last month, he made a small wind turbine and enthusiastically explained about energy. As I boarded the shuttle bus that arrived right on schedule, driver Mike greeted me with, "Here's to another wonderful day." It's a familiar morning scene. He's been handling my transportation for 5 years, a gentle-natured man. On the bus, I chatted with Martha, who also attends the center. As always, she showed me photos of her grandchildren. These days it's through her smartphone screen, but that means we get to see more pictures. Activities at the daycare center were routine as usual. In the morning, we did light exercises, gently moving our limbs to instructor Sarah's cheerful voice. Her encouragement, "That's it, Mrs. Thompson," is always pleasant. For lunch, I enjoyed fresh vegetables from the salad bar. Today's menu featured organic vegetables from local farms, with especially delicious baby greens. During mealtime, I got caught up in a conversation about gardening with Joan, who sat next to me. While listening to her tomato growing secrets, I considered trying my own planter garden next year. In the afternoon craft class, we started making Christmas wreaths. Though it's early in the season, time passes pleasantly as we work together. While arranging pine cones and ribbons, I chatted with staff member Amy about this year's Christmas plans. She complimented me, saying, "Mrs. Thompson, your sense of style is exceptional," though it was surely just flattery. Then came pickup time. When the facility's automatic doors opened and Tyler appeared, a smile naturally spread across my face. In his school cap, he looked like a little gentleman. "Grandma." The presentation was a huge success. Tyler's energetic voice and approach were like a small son. After saying goodbye to the staff, we prepared to leave the facility. He excitedly told me about his school day. Until that moment, it had been just another ordinary, happy day. A few meters from the entrance, something felt off. The wheelchair's movement seemed somehow awkward, different from its usual smooth motion. But thinking it might just be unfamiliar operation, I tried not to worry about it. That's when I heard Tyler's voice. "Grandma, the wheelchair feels different from usual." Before I could respond to his words, the harsh sound of tires screeching pierced my ears. A black and white police car slammed on its brakes right in front of us. The siren's wail cut through the quiet afternoon air. People nearby turned around in surprise. "Step away from the wheelchair. Right now," the uniformed officer shouted. His voice was filled with urgency. Sweat beaded on the young officer's forehead, and his hands trembled slightly. "What's happening?" My voice shook. The air around us seemed to freeze. However, at that moment, only one thought occupied my mind: I had to protect Tyler. Instinctively, I pulled Tyler closer to me. I could feel his small body trembling. The officer's tense expression, the stares of gathering onlookers, and above all, Tyler's trembling presence in my arms, everything felt surreal in its suddenness. I could see someone in the distance starting to film with their phone. Then came the officer's next words. At that moment, my world shook violently. "This wheelchair has been tampered with. There's a possibility of attempted murder." Those words echoed in my ears. It felt like a bad dream. Yet the scene unfolding before my eyes was all too real. The police officers quickly sprang into action. Someone who appeared to be an expert, wearing protective gear, began carefully examining my wheelchair. Their efficiency only emphasized the gravity of the situation. Tyler was entrusted to facility staff and moved to a safe location. His worried expression squeezed my heart. "Mrs. Thompson, for your safety, we'll need to seize this wheelchair as evidence." Detective Reed, a man who appeared to be in his 50s, explained in a calm tone. Though his manner was composed, his eyes held a sharp gleam. "We've contacted your family. Your son Nathan said he's on his way." Mrs. Walker, the facility director, informed me while holding my hand. I could feel her hand trembling slightly. The anxiety of this normally cool-headed woman highlighted the abnormality of the situation. The 30 minutes spent in the waiting room felt like an eternity. Outside the window, the police forensics team bustled about. They examined my wheelchair with special equipment, took photographs, and collected samples. The scene felt unreal, like something from a TV drama. "Mom!" Nathan burst in moments later. His usually well-kept hair was disheveled, his tie askew. He must have rushed straight from the office. "Are you all right? What happened?" "Tyler, where's Tyler?" His voice betrayed his distress. I reached out to calm him, but at that moment, I noticed my own hands were shaking. Tyler's safe. He's resting in the staff room. Hearing those words, some tension left Nathan's shoulders. However, a different kind of tension immediately covered his expression. Jessica. We still can't reach her, the facility director answered. We've tried several times. Just then, a police forensics officer entered the room. We've made a significant discovery, he said, drawing everyone's attention. The wheelchair's control system was modified. It appears to have been tampered with to accelerate to maximum speed and disable the brakes under specific conditions. We're treating this as a clear case of attempted murder. While listening to this explanation, various emotions swirled within me. Fear, confusion, and indescribable anxiety. Who had targeted me, and why? Above all, if Tyler hadn't noticed. The thought alone sent chills down my spine. As night fell, the police investigation continued. They checked security camera footage and interviewed all facility staff. I was questioned several times too. Had he noticed any suspicious individuals recently? Any threatening incidents? As I shook my head at these questions, I desperately searched my memories. Nathan refused to leave my side, occasionally checking his smartphone and frowning. They still couldn't reach Jessica. Mom, stay at our house tonight. It's dangerous to be alone. I accepted my son's offer without hesitation. I didn't have the confidence to be alone in this situation. As we left the facility, the twilight sky was eerily red. Police vehicle lights continued flashing, casting irregular shadows on the building walls. Police officers were restraining what appeared to be reporters approaching with cameras. Before getting into Nathan's car, I looked back at the facility. I could see Tyler waving from the window. His father had come to pick him up. He would probably miss school tomorrow. In the car, Nathan whispered, "Who could have?" His words were swallowed by the darkness of night. We drove through the street lamp lights in silence. No one yet knew that this day would dramatically change our lives. Nor that the truth would come from the person we trusted most. The next morning, an unimaginable truth awaited us. In the police station interview room, Detective Reed opened his mouth gravely. "Mrs. Thompson, this is very difficult to say, but the person who modified the wheelchair was your daughter-in-law, Jessica Thompson." Nathan stood up from his chair. "That's impossible." Detective Reed continued quietly. "Last night, evidence was found at her home. Tools used for the modification, manuals, and documents regarding a $3 million debt." $3 million. Nathan's voice trembled. The detective continued his explanation while showing security camera footage. The screen showed Jessica sneaking into the facility late last week. The footage clearly recorded her replacing my wheelchair with another one. The plan was meticulous, the detective said, flipping through documents. She purchased a used wheelchair of the same model, modified it using methods learned from YouTube. The control board was tampered with to accelerate to maximum speed and disable the brakes at specific incline angles. She was planning to make it look like an accident on a slope, I said with a shaking voice. Yes. The steep slope 200 meters from the facility was chosen as the execution site. At that moment, the interrogation room door opened, and a young detective entered. "We've obtained a confession from the suspect." Jessica's own testimony was played from an audio recording. I had no choice. Her voice had completely lost its usual brightness. "I failed in real estate investments 5 years ago, took loans from loan sharks. Last week, I got the final notice. $3 million within 2 weeks. If I couldn't pay, Nathan and the children would be." In the recording, she broke down crying. "With Mom's inheritance, I could pay off the debt immediately. If it looked like an accident, but I couldn't do it. Every time I saw that gentle smile, my heart felt like it would break, but there was no other way." Nathan covered his face with both hands. "Why didn't you talk to me?" The truth continued. A facility night shift worker had noticed suspicious activity since last week. "I saw a familiar-looking woman lurking around the facility at night. But I never thought it would be Jessica. The suspect has been arrested and will be charged," Detective Reed announced. "Attempted murder, breaking and entering, property damage. The sentence will be severe." A heavy silence fell over the room. Outside the window, spring sunlight lazily streamed in. "Nathan." I held my son's hand. "This isn't your fault." He looked up, wiping his tears. "Mom, what should I do about the kids?" "We'll get through this together. Tyler, that child saved my life." That evening, we returned home exhausted. Tyler was waiting in the living room with an anxious face. How should we explain this to him, just back from school? "Grandma." He ran to me. I held him tight. "Thank you, Tyler. Your observation skills saved Grandma's life." "Mom isn't coming back." Nathan placed his hand on his son's shoulder. "Not for a while. But we have Grandma. Let's work hard together." That night, I looked through family photos for the first time in a while. Jessica's smile now seemed different. While blaming myself for not noticing her suffering, anger and sadness about her choice welled up inside me. But this isn't the end. It's a new beginning. I spoke to my husband's photograph. "We'll be all right, won't we?" From the following week, I started spending time with my grandchildren not just on weekends but weekdays too. I helped with homework after school, cooked dinner, and sometimes cried together. Nathan is desperately trying to balance work and childcare. The new wheelchair was changed to a safer, latest model. But sometimes Tyler still comes to check on it worriedly. His kindness in confirming, "It's okay, nothing feels strange," has saved me many times. Our family's shape has changed. But the bonds feel stronger than before. Sometimes we get hurt and lose things. But we have hope. It's the feeling of caring for each other and the courage to overcome. Outside the window, spring wind was scattering flower petals, as if announcing the beginning of a new season. The verdict was delivered on an autumn day, 6 months after the incident. In the Denver District Court, Jessica Thompson listened to her sentence stoically. Defendant Jessica Thompson, for the crimes of attempted murder, breaking and entering, and property damage, you are hereby sentenced to 12 years in prison. As the judge's voice echoed through the courtroom, I watched her back from the last row of the gallery. Her once bright smile was gone, and her slumped shoulders showed she was no longer the Jessica we knew. During the trial, all the truth came to light. In 2018, riding the real estate bubble, she began large-scale investments, losing everything with the subprime loan collapse. Afterward, she took loans from loan sharks, and her debt snowballed. The defendant planned to kill her mother-in-law to collect insurance money. The prosecutor's voice rang coldly through the courtroom. She studied wheelchair mechanics on YouTube, learned how to modify the control system, and planned to make it look like an accidental death on a slope. The defense argued about threats from loan sharks and her motives to protect her family, but the high level of premeditation heavily influenced the sentencing. After the verdict, Nathan proceeded with divorce proceedings. He also gained custody of the children. "Mom, he said to me as we left the courthouse. I can't forgive Jessica. But I'll try to understand the path she chose. Now, we've established a new rhythm in our lives. Nathan has increased his work-from-home hours and is fighting hard to raise the children. On weekends, we all go to the park or watch movies together. Our wounded hearts are healing little by little. Tyler is now president of the science club. After what happened to Grandma, I want to make inventions that help people more," he says with a serious expression. Seeing him like this makes my heart swell. The incident took many things from us. But at the same time, it gave us new bonds. Though my complicated feelings toward Jessica haven't disappeared, I also feel remorse for not understanding the pressure she was under. Letters occasionally arrive from prison. I've lost everything. But my choice then was wrong. Please. I hope the children can forgive my foolishness. I don't write back. But I keep the letters carefully stored. Someday, when the children grow up, they might want to know about their mother. For that day. Today too, I go for a walk to the nearby park in my electric wheelchair. The new wheelchair is equipped with the latest safety systems, and Tyler approves of it. Sometimes he checks it with a serious expression. "It's okay, Grandma. No abnormalities today." I smile at those words. This child's kindness and quick thinking saved my life. And now, we're building a new kind of family, step by step. George's photo on the windowsill glows gently in the evening sun. Hey, George. We're going to be all right. Yes, this is the beginning of our new story. Not trapped by the past, but moving forward looking to the future. That's the choice we made after overcoming this trial.